In this video, we'll have a look at some basic trig questions using the calculator, just to make sure that we know exactly how to use the calculator in answering those questions, because it is not always as obvious as one might think. So for our first question, let's work out the cosine of 48 degrees. So in order to do this, first of all, we would need to make sure that the calculator is set to degrees. Then you would type in 48 on the calculator, and then you would press the cosine button. This gives us a long decimal number, which we are going to round off to the nearest 2 decimals. So in this case, the answer would then be 0.67. Let's do another one. Let's have a look at 2 sine of 35 degrees. So in order to do this, we kind of need to break this down into little segments. So let's do the sine of 35, which we know how to do now. We type in the degrees, followed by sine, which gives us an answer. We then have a look at this portion, which is obviously multiplying the answer by 2. So we'll say multiply by 2. And that gives us an answer of 1,47. Let's do a couple more. Then we'll have the tangent squared of the angle 81 degrees. All right, so the same as we did in the previous example, we need to break this down into little bits. So this is where it might not be as obvious as how to do this on the calculator. So first what we need to do is we need to work out the tangent of 81. So we'd say 81. We hit the tan button. That then gives us an answer. Then we can go and square that answer. So we'll hit the squared button. And that gives us the answer. So it's actually quite simple once you know how to do it. That's 39,86. I think let's just do one more. Let's say 3 sine squared of 72 degrees. Okay, so once again, to make this a little bit easier, we need to break it down. Firstly, we're going to get the sine of 72. Then we are going to get the square of that answer, and then we will multiply by 3. So let's do that. 72, or the sine of 72. Then we need to square that answer, and then we need to multiply that by 3. That gives us the answer of 2.71. All right, let's do a few more intricate examples so we can make sure that we understand exactly how to use the calculator in determining the answer. So if x is equal to 39 degrees and y is equal to 21 degrees, use a calculator to determine whether the following statement is true or false. So we need to go and make sure, or we need to go and see whether this statement actually evaluates to true. So is the left-hand side of the equation equal to the right side of the equation? So first what we need to do is let's go and have a look at what are the values that have been given to us. So we've been given x is equal to 39 and y is equal to 21. So we can actually see that in this equation, we are only dealing with one variable, namely x. There isn't a variable y. So this is in effect not needed. So we don't even have to worry about the y variable. So let's substitute the value of x for 39 in this equation so that we can then go ahead and do the calculation on the calculator. So this will be the cosine of 39 plus 2 cosine 39 equal to 3 cosine 39. Alright, so as we did before, to do the first part of this equation, we'd say 39, and we'll hit the cosine button. We're going to round off to 2 decimal places, so this will then be 0.78. Alright, let's do the next part of the calculation, which would be 39 cosine of 39. Let's multiply that by 2. Then gives us 1,55. So before we do the right-hand side of the equation, let's add these two together so that we know what we are supposed to get. So 1.55 plus 0.78. And then we'll just, let's just make a note of that. .33. All right, let's work out what the right side of the equation is equal to. So that's 39 cosine, and then we multiply by 3. And that is 2.33. So both sides of the equation are the same, which means that the answer evaluates to true. Okay, so in this next example, we need to have a look and see whether the tangent of x is equal to the sine of x over the cosine of x. So again, we will just have a look at what the values are that have been given to us, which are the x and the y values. Once again, we are only dealing with x, so we don't need to worry about y. Then let's substitute the values for x. So the tangent of 39 degrees equal to sine of 39 over the cosine of 39. Alright, so let's do the left-hand side of the equation. We'll say 39, we'll get the tangent of that. So it'll be 0.81 rounding off to the nearest 2 decimals. Okay, and then let's work out the sine of 39. Gives us 0.63 divided by the cosine of 39, which gives us 0.78. Okay, so now we need to divide 0.63 divided by 0.78. Let's clear the calculator. Say 0.63 divided by 0.78. And if we round that down to the nearest 2 decimals, we also get 0.81. So this equation also does evaluate to true. I think let's do one more example. So once again, we'll just make a note of the values that have been given to us, which are the values of x and y. And in this equation, we are dealing just with y, so we don't need to even know what the values of x are. So let's substitute the values for y into the equation. So that would be cosine of 2 times 21 degrees equals the cosine of 21 plus the cosine of 21. So let's do the right side of the equation first, because then we can just add the two together. So we'll say the cosine of 21 is then equal to 0.93. That is then 0.93 plus 0.93, 0.93 plus 0.93 gives us 1.86. So how do we tackle the left-hand side of the equation? Well, what we'll do first is we'll multiply the 21 degrees by 2. So we'll say 21 times 2, which gives us an angle of 42. And then we'll get the cosine of 42 degrees. This then gives us 0.74. And therefore, This equation then equates to false. I hope this gives you a better understanding of how to use your calculator when determining the trig equations. Of course, you won't be using a Windows calculator, so you'll have to go and have a look at exactly how your calculator works, but in general, the principles are the same.